Okay, so the time right now is April, are we 12th or 13th? April 12th, hang on. And your homework last night was to create 4 shapes, each of which have an approximate area of 144 centimeters squared. And we say approximate area of 144 because we know that a circle will not have the exact area of 144, but we can get it pretty close. We can get it within a square centimeter of being the actual area. So the first one's a square, and that's an easy one. And the reason why I chose 144 centimeters squared was why? Because the side length can be a whole number. And a square, if we put these little ticks here like this, that means all 4 sides are the same shape, and the side length would be 12 centimeters. If we do a rectangle, and we had a length and width, as long as we know 2 numbers that multiply to get 144, those 2 numbers can be the dimensions of the rectangle. So 1 times 144 will be one potential rectangle. 2 multiplied by 72 would be another. Is 3 a factor of 144? Can you divide 144 by 3? You can. How do you know that without knowing what? 3 times what? Correct. 1 plus 4 plus 4 is 9, and 9 is a multiple of 3. So we know that 3 is a factor, we say. And it happens to be 3 times, what would that be? That would be 44? No, 48. Correct. 3 times 48. Is 4 a factor? Yes. 4 times 36. Is 5 a factor? No, because it doesn't end in 0 or 5. Is 6 a factor? The answer is yes, and the reason why I know yes, going back to grade 7, if 2 and 3 are factors, oh, that's the bell for starting a class, we're starting way early. If 2 and 3 are factors, then 6 is as well. So 6 times, what would that be? 96? No, that can't be 96. Not 96. 144 divided by 6, we'll see. 144 divided by 6, brain's not working, fish fillet, 24. And 7, 7's not. 8 is 8 times 18. Is that right? I think so. And 12 times 12. So any one of those 7 products can be your dimensions for your rectangle. How many chose 1 by 144? That was the easiest one, right? How many chose 2 by 72? Most of you, some of you. 3 times 48, anyone? Good. 4 times 36, anyone go that way? Anyone choose 6 by 24? Nice, everybody's got a little something, something. 8 by 18? No. How about 12 by 12? You can't choose 12 by 12, why? Because it's a square, not a rectangle. Good. Now your triangle. We're going to draw a right triangle just because it's easiest to draw. And the base is this one, and the height is this one. And we know that the base times height have to be multiplied together first, and then whatever that product is, the product must be divided by 2 to get the area of a triangle, right? We first multiply the base by the height, and then we take those 2 numbers and divide it by 2. So if we want to have this as being 144, what does the product have to equal? Yeah, so what does the product have to be? What does that number have to be when I say the word product? Emma? What does the base times the height have to equal if when I divide it by 2 it equals 144? Hannah? It has to be 288. So this number here has to be 288 because when I divide it by 2 in the formula, I get 144. So any 2 numbers that multiply together to get 288 will work. Now since that's a really difficult one, how many of you just chose 144 and 2? Probably most of you. I would have. How many of you took 288 and divided by 4? How many chose 4 by 72? Right, 72 base, 4 height would work. Any combination of that would work. Base times height divided by 2. So I'm going to use, let's just use, actually, you know what you could do? This is interesting. Since 144 times 2 is 288, you can take any of these numbers and multiply them by 2. So you got 2 by 144 will work. 3 by 96 will work. 4 by 72 will work. 6 times 48 will work, etc., etc. So any of those combinations for your base and height will work. Okay. Now the last one was the hardest. circle with a radius, and the area equals 144. So our formula is area equals pi multiplied by the radius squared, and we don't know what size radius I need to write on there to get 144 area. But I know my formula, and I know the area has to be 144 centimeters squared. So 144 has to equal pi multiplied by the radius squared. Does everyone agree with that? If that area has to be approximately 144, then pi r squared must equal that 144, meaning 3.14 multiplied by pi r squared. Now yesterday we talked about that. Let me ask you a question. What kind of algebraic term is 3.14, Vietnam? 3.14 that sits in front of that r, that variable, what kind of term do we call 3.14 in algebra? If it's a multiplier for the r. What's it called? Anybody? It's called the coefficient. Just like if I had 10, oh, that's not the correct marker. If I had 10 equals 2x, 2 is called your coefficient, correct? And how would I get rid of that 2 in this equation? I would divide both sides by 2, and I would have x equals 5. Over here, if I divide both sides by pi, because in algebra, whatever you do to one side, do to the other, you get r squared equals 144 divided by pi. 144 divided by pi. So the radius squared will equal roughly 45.9. We'll just leave it as 45.9. And I'll put the decimal or the dot above the equal sign, which means approximately equal to. Now, what if I gave you an easier question, said 49 equals r squared? What would the r be in an area of 49? What would the r be in that one? It'd be 7. What if it was 36 equals r squared? What would the r be? It'd be 6. So the r squared here, the radius squared equals an area of 45.9. So just using some logic here, without actually grabbing the calculator, you're going to do this in grade 9 again. What do we approximate the r to be? Is it less than 7? Yes. Is it more than 6? Yes. So the radius has to be greater than 6, but less than 7. So if you said the radius is probably 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, 6.8, I'd be like, yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? That's a good estimation without hitting the calculator button. What number multiplied by itself is 45.9. But the actual truth is, I can't think of the actual answer, so the calculator will do the work for me. If I ask a calculator, what number multiplied by itself is 45.9? If I want to know the answer, I press this button here, which is called the square root button. And it will calculate what number multiplied by itself is that, and it's approximately 6.8. So therefore, the r is approximately equal to 6.8. 6.8 centimeters. We good on that? In actuality, what we did, remember, in algebra, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Technically, what we did here, what number multiplied by itself is r squared? The answer is r. What number multiplied by itself is 45.9? It's 6.8. Essentially, what we did is we square rooted both sides. Okay? And that's the answer.